It's a setback from the Supreme Court to Hemant Soren. Supreme Court has refused to hear Hemant Soren's plea, asked him to approach the higher court. Remember, Hemant Soren, the former Chief Minister of Jharkhand, had moved Supreme Court challenging the manner in which the ED had issued summons and questioned him. The court now has said that we will not hear this plea and you can approach a lower court if you wish to. Essentially, you can go to the High Court is what the Supreme Court essentially has said. We can't hear your matter. Shrishti Ojha getting asked more details on that. Shrishti, this was expected, wasn't it? Because the court has said that go to a lower court first and then come to us if required. So you can approach a higher court with your plea, essentially.
Well, yes, we had definitely a major setback for Jharkhand's former Chief Minister Hemant Soren because hours after his arrest, he had moved the Supreme Court of India seeking and hoping for some relief, but clearly no relief to Hemant Soren from Supreme Court because the Supreme Court has in fact refused to even hear the matter. The counsels appearing for Hemant Soren, senior advocate Kapil Sibal and Abhishek Manu Singhvi were not even allowed to argue in detail. The court at the outset only said that it is the High Court that the petitioner, that Hemant Soren, should approach first, which he had in fact done. But later on, he yesterday told court that he withdraw that particular matter. According to Supreme Court, High Court is also a constitutional court and courts are for everybody. Just because it was pointed out by Mr. Sibal that Hemant Soren is a chief minister, was the chief minister when he was arrested. The sitting CM has been arrested. So the Supreme Court can use its discretionary power in this particular case and hear the matter because it has the power to if it wants to exercise that discretion. However, the court has made itself very clear that High Court is also a constitutional court, and if they permit one person to approach Supreme Court directly, then they will have to permit everybody. The court clearly saying that regardless of whether or not the person arrested was a sitting CM, the courts are for everyone, and if they permit one person to directly approach the top court, then we will have to do the same in the other cases as well. So the court also noted that it's clear that Mr. Soren has already been arrested now. Earlier his summons was challenged. Now he sought to challenge his arrest as well. What Hemant Soren should do is go back to the High Court, make the same prayers and seek the same relief before the High Court is what the Supreme Court has very clearly said. So major setback for Hemant Soren. Hemant Soren had in his petition very clearly stated that he's approached Supreme Court. He's decided to approach Supreme Court directly because the entire case against him is politically motivated. Also, the central government in power is in a way using the central agencies, ED and CBI, against the political leaders, which is why Supreme Court should consider this particular matter. That's how he had explained his decision to directly approach the Supreme Court because, as his lawyer had yesterday also told a bench led by the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Sundresh, that in matters like this, when PMLA is being used or invoked against political leaders, the Supreme Court needs to step in and set up the contours of how such arrests need to be made. But as of now, the three-judge bench led by Justice Sanjiv Khanna has clearly refused to entertain the matter and grant any relief to Hemant Soren.
Yes, but legally speaking, the options are open before him. Shrishti, essentially, he has the option of going to the High Court. Take us through the details of what exactly his petition was. Okay, I'm going back to you. In a moment from now, Shrishti, I'll just come back to you. Banna Gupta, former Jharkhand minister, is also now joining us. Thank you for your time. Your response to the Supreme Court telling Hemant Soren today that you can't come to us and we are not going to be entertaining this plea. You can go to another court. You can go to the High Court if you wish to.
नहीं, निश्चित तौर पर यदि माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने यदि कोई डायरेक्शन दिया है तो वो डायरेक्शन का जो है अनुपालन होगा, या मैं ये कहूँ कि जो हमारी तरफ से जो हम लोगों ने पिटीशन दायर किया था उस पे जो माननीय न्यायालय ने जो अपना वर्डिक्ट दिया है उस हिसाब से हम लोग अपने कानूनविदों से बात करेंगे, विशेषज्ञों से बात करके अगला स्टेप क्या होगा उस पर हम लोग फिर विचार करेंगे।
आप इसे सेटबैक की तरह नहीं देखते हैं क्योंकि कोर्ट ने ये कहा है और ये तो एक प्ली था उनके अरेस्ट के खिलाफ, ईडी के खिलाफ, लेकिन कोर्ट ने कहा है कि आप एक दूसरे कोर्ट पे जाए, तो यानी कि रिलीफ जो हेमंत सोरेन एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे उसका जो प्रोसेस है वो और ज्यादा डिले हो गया है। बन्ना गुप्ता जी,
नहीं, सेटबैक तब होता है जब हमारे पिटीशन पर, हमारी याचिका पर कोई जो है एडवर्स जो है आदेश होता। ये तो एडवर्स आदेश नहीं है ना, ये तो उन्होंने अपना बताया कि साहब आप यहाँ नहीं वहाँ आप जाइए, ठीक है। तो ये तो माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का जो उन्होंने जो इस विषय पर अपना टिप्पणी किया है उस पर हम लोग अपने कानून विशेषज्ञों से राय विचार करेंगे और करने के उपरांत जो है फिर हम न्यायालय के दरवाजे को खटखटाएंगे।
शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। बन्ना गुप्ता there saying that this isn't a setback and we'll just follow the direction of the court is what the former Jharkhand minister essentially has said, with the Supreme Court today telling Hemant Soren that you can go to the High Court, but we will not be entertaining essentially your plea. This, remember, when Hemant Soren had moved Supreme Court challenging the arrest by the ED in the money laundering case. It moved Supreme Court challenging his arrest in a money laundering case. The Supreme Court says that we will not hear this matter. Another court can hear it. The Apex Court had initially agreed to hear this case, but now they've now said that this matter can be taken to the High Court. The JMM says this isn't a setback. We will fight this out legally. However, expect that there would be a delay in terms of the relief that Hemant Soren is expecting. Go to a High Court is what the Supreme Court has said. Hemant Soren had moved Supreme Court challenging the arrest by the Enforcement Directorate. Remember, Hemant Soren had resigned as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand following the lengthy interrogation by the ED. I'm going to go back to Shrishti for more details on that. The JMM says this really isn't a setback. It's a legal directive and we will follow it. But the fact of the matter, Shrishti, is that that relief that Soren was expecting, and that wait is just going to get longer for him, isn't it, Shrishti?
Well, yes, definitely, Sneha. He had approached the Supreme Court directly hours after his arrest, challenging his arrest before the Supreme Court. He was definitely expecting some sort of relief because he had challenged both the summons and the arrest, and he had very clearly in his petition stated that the reason he's approaching the Supreme Court directly is because, according to him, the entire case is politically motivated and topple the government, and also to intimidate in a way, intimidate the political leaders, the opposition party leaders, which is why the Supreme Court was approached directly. However, the Supreme Court has very clearly said that it is a High Court that Mr. Soren needs to approach first, which is in fact something that he'd already done before on the day of his arrest. He had, however, decided to later withdraw his plea before the High Court. He had informed his counsel, appearing for him, had yesterday informed the bench led by Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, while mentioning the matter and seeking urgent listing of the case. They had informed the court that they will be withdrawing the case. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta had appeared to center yesterday before the court. ASJSV Raju had appeared to the Enforcement Directorate, and they had informed the court that similar prayers have already been made by Hemant Soren before the High Court. However, Mr. Sibyl for Hemant Soren had clarified that the petition before the High Court was not the same. The reliefs that are being sought in the Supreme Court's matter are actually different from what they've sought, and they are willing to withdraw the petition before the High Court. But now today again, the Supreme Court, while refusing to interfere in this matter or even hear the senior counsels, they were not even allowed to start their detailed arguments as to what is it that they're challenging or the legal questions involved in the case at all. They were very clearly said that the Supreme Court will not interfere in this case. Hemant Soren should approach the High Court, and Hemant Soren will be open to now he will be at liberty to challenge whatever it is that he seeks to challenge before the High Court. High Court is a constitutional court in itself, and regardless of whether or not Hemant Soren was a sitting chief minister when he was arrested, courts are for everybody, and if the top court allows one person to surpass the jurisdiction and approach the Supreme Court directly, then they will have to do that for everybody else as well, which is again something that the Solicitor General appearing for Union of India had yesterday told bench led by the CJI that there are hundreds of people who are being arrested by the ED, but not everybody, not all of them can come to the Supreme Court directly. So why is Hemant Soren being allowed to come and challenge his arrest
Right.
before the top court directly?
All right,
Even
Shrishti,
today, when Soren...
Yes, Shrishti, I'm going to thank you for the moment for getting us those details. Shrishti Ojha breaking down that story for us as far as the setback, a brief one maybe, for Hemant Soren from the Supreme Court of India is concerned. He moved Supreme Court saying, challenging his arrest essentially. The court today has said that you can in fact take your plea to another court, to a lower court. In this case, it's going to be the Jharkhand High Court.